Hello, everyone out in Maryland's 8th District. I'm sending my best to all of my beloved constituents and our friends from other parts of Maryland and beyond. It's my favorite time of week. It's time for Local Hero, and we've got a fantastic local hero for you today. Locally born and raised, Michael Abramowitz. Michael, many of you may remember from his days as a journalist for the Washington Post. I guess his last assignment there was as White House correspondent and the national editor of the Post. From there, he went to the Holocaust Museum, where he became the director of education. But he is with us today as local hero because he became the president and the CEO of Freedom House, which tries to document and promote the state of freedom and human rights all over the world. And we're recognizing this week because he got into some trouble, some good and necessary trouble, as John Lewis would have it. Good and necessary trouble with the Chinese government for his efforts on promoting freedom, human rights in China and in Hong Kong. So Mike Abramowitz, congratulations on being local hero for this second week of August.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and I really appreciate the recognition, although I will say that the real heroes are the people on the front lines fighting for freedom in Hong Kong and China and around the world. You know, we support them at Freedom House, but the heavy lifting is really done by people all over the world who are standing up against oppression.
Before we get into the specific incident that led to China exacting sanctions against you personally and against Freedom House, tell us a little bit more about what Freedom House does with respect to China and countries all over the world.
Sure. Freedom House is the oldest, really, human rights and democracy organization in the United States. We were founded in 1941 by a group of people that included Eleanor Roosevelt and Wendell Willkie, who had run against Eleanor's husband in 1940 for president. And I just say that because we are a group that cuts across party aisles. We're nonpartisan, and we work in a very bipartisan way to promote human rights and democracy. And we're probably best known for our work documenting human rights and democracy through our annual survey of political rights and civil liberties around the world, where we rate every country in the world, including the United States, by way, for example, on how they respect political rights and civil liberties. But we also do other things. We're very supportive of human rights defenders around the world. We provide all sorts of different assistance and support to try to amplify their voices.
So, and you will grade countries on everything from the state of press freedom to religious freedom, political participation, elections, and so on. How does it differ from that State Department roundup?
Well, the State Department roundup is really focused on human rights. It's similar, but we have a methodology that has gone back, now 50 years. We've been doing it for almost 50 years. And we're really focused on kind of the building blocks of democracy, kind of the stuff I actually talked about one summer to your students at Democracy Summer, where we're looking at what are the key attributes that are crucial to having a well-functioning democracy, starting with free and fair elections, but also the other political rights, which you just mentioned.
Terrific. All right, so now tell us what happened with China, and were you startled to wake up in the morning to find that you'd been put on this negative sanctions list by China?
Well, candidly, Jamie, I was really startled, and at first I was a little bit, uneasy about it, because this is a country that's probably the greatest authoritarian country, most powerful authoritarian country in the world, one that is, snatched booksellers off the streets of Hong Kong and gone after their enemies in other countries. So it's a little bit scary. But really what the situation is, it's part of kind of the political kind of tit for tat between the United States and Hong Kong now. A few days ago, or really last week, the U.S. government sanctioned 11 officials in Hong Kong and China for the repression against the people of Hong Kong. It's been a stepped up wave of repression in Hong Kong, which we can talk about. And by the way, the sanctions were entirely justified in our point of view, and they were supported on a bipartisan basis. You had Republicans and Democrats being very supportive of the sanctions. And so what happened is Monday morning, our time, the Chinese government announced their own sanctions in response to this, and they included 6 members of Congress and 5 heads of rights organizations, including me.
And what do the sanctions entail? Are you banned from traveling to China?
Well, it's a weird thing. We really don't know what the sanctions mean. They had a press conference and they said they were being sanctioned, but the Chinese had never really specified what's going on. And we tried to find out what this is all about. I think it's safe to assume that I'm not going to be able to travel to China anytime soon. But, I don't know if they're going to try to, go after our bank accounts at Freedom House or anything else. We just don't know. It's very opaque.
Yeah. Have you been in touch with the other people who were sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party?
Yes, we've been in touch with the other human rights groups that we work closely with all of them. It's like the National Endowment for Democracy, Human Rights Watch, the National Democratic Institute. We actually put out a joint statement in addition to our own statement from Freedom House about the fact that these sanctions are not going to deter from the good work we're all doing.
Yeah. I'm assuming this is not going to deter you from any of your work that you're doing on China or any other country. No,
of course not. No. It actually makes us more determined to try to fight on behalf of the freedom of people everywhere.
Well, look, as your longtime friend and admirer and as your congressman, I could not be prouder of you for the work you're doing. And if nothing else, this terrible maneuver by the Chinese government gives us the opportunity to honor you for the great work you're doing day in and day out to defend democracy and human rights all over the world. Mike, thank you for everything you're doing. And you are this week's local hero, and you will be celebrated all throughout Montgomery, Frederick, and Carroll County for that reason.
Thank you, Jamie. It's great to be with you, and everyone be safe.
All best.